Today's webinar is on the N-SP80 SIP Intercom, and we'll just jump right into it. Any question, I guess we can keep them to the end, and we'll address all those, whether it's in the text box or in when we open up the lines as we move forward. So going through the agenda for today's webinar on the SP80. Brief overview, not sure where everybody stands, but a little overview of what is SIP, product overview, individual products within the N-SP80 line and their features and benefits, working with the interface of the system. We'll go through a few variations of application examples, look at the door installation and how that comes about, including the heated back box, the Softphone application, web interface, as well as the SIP gateway. We'll run through most of those. So, the N-SP80 SIP Intercom, it's a smart product, very easy to set up, and opens the whole world of communication and access control. So certain very basics, not getting too heavy into it, but what is SIP? SIP is a session-initiated protocol. It's a protocol used in voice over IP communications. The device introduced here use common communication protocol called SIP. So the N-SP80 uses SIP protocol. Originally, SIP was meant to be used just for VoIP protocol, but in many cases, it's a main protocol used for voice and phone systems or security management for that matter. Assessment of profile SIP is introduced on various websites, so please refer to that. There's lots of stuff online in training to get into SIP and how it works. The one thing to understand is that SIP number is one of the most used infrastructures in the world. Every day there's more and more SIP-compatible devices being released, and are all available for that SIP communication between different manufacturers and so on. So it is, kind of a universal language in communication voice over IP. We'll start with a quick look at the SIP Master, TOA's N-SP80 multimedia station. You can see that on the right, and right above it's kind of a zoom in on the touchscreen surface, which is a 7-inch 16:9 ratio touchscreen. So it offers flexible audio video communication using SIP intercom protocol as well as on-VIF protocols. So those that are unaware, on-VIF is a video communication protocol. So if within the facility they have a SIP enabled NVR or something like that, then you could pull the video from any of the masters and or stations with video within the TOA line to grab that and record those and monitor those on the security application. Continuing with operation with dial keys, so there is key as well, so you can use the manual keys in the bottom of the master station, or you can use a touch screen above it. Compatible with major video codecs. You can power locally via plug-in, or it is PoE compatible. Of course, with PoE, you have less cables and wires and requirements that way. The address book within can store up to 3,000 names. Just one second here. Forwarding settings. So again, you can set up routing for forwarding if you don't answer, or call routing and that type of thing. That can be done in other masters. It also can be done to our new to be released app, which we'll talk about later on in this webinar. Of course, standard functions like do not disturb, ignoring calls, auto redial, is some of the functions that are available within the master station. So looking at the N-SP80 SIP video door station, as with the master, compatible with various audio codecs. It does have built-in AEC, acoustic echo canceller, so enables for full duplex communications. Photo-sensitive sensor is built in to detect brightness and adjust the video depending on the light. Maybe that's a door opening or just day to night or as the sun moves. We're playing. Built-in infrared LEDs to help capture the video in dark environments, so it does have IR illuminators built into it, which are controlled by that sensor. Resolution up to 1080, so very good quality camera built into the station. on-diff protocol, as mentioned before. Anti-vandal function, the external control input, so kind of tamper resistant that way, and robust and weatherproof hardware. So that's the video and audio. So you get your speaker on the top, and you have your video, your camera built in with your illuminators around the perimeter of the camera, and then you're pushed to initiate a call. Certain application, if video is not required, very similar, same form factor. We've got an audio-only substation. Pretty much the same specs, high quality audio transmission, acoustic, echo canceller built into it, full duplex communication. As with the other one, TOA for the station itself, and anti-vandal and robust weatherproof hardware. So very similar, except for no camera on that particular unit. Look at some of the accessories. We have the standard gang box for the substations. So it's designed for the SP80 VS1. So the video station is the V, and the SP80A S1, which is the audio only. So it's in-wall finished, and this is finished with surface treated steel metal. It's just a basic backend for non-weather resistant applications. We also have the YC831HSW-AM. So it's a weatherized back box with heater and tamper switch for security. This also works for the video and audio stations. Both these are 4-gang box. This is a surface mount box for the SP80. And I believe, the rating with the back can and the heated back box for the substation is minus 30 degrees Celsius. We'll get a little bit more into this near the end of this, but this is a quick look at the iPad. This is the GUI for control with your fingertips, so you can plug in and have GUI control and look at the cameras and stations and so on. That's another function of the SIP intercom in addition to the app. So we'll talk about. So a bit more into the master and the interface. So it's Android-based multimedia terminal that provides you has 2 Ethernet ports, a USB HDMI output, so if you want to tie into a localized larger screen for security, as well as a 3.5mm jack for headset audio communication with it. So operation is very simple and easy and flexible. On-screen display will permit users to easily navigate through and adjust simple settings, or just open the settings through the web interface. So you can do that, again, settings via the master itself or the web interface, which is this one right there. Closer look as you look at the screen on the SIP Master. So you've got your standard time date, you've got a status bar, show that you're communicating different accounts. You can slide over at multiple screens, similar to any kind of smart device or tablet. And you can create shortcuts at the bottom here or throughout the open architecture display. So here we have your dial, phone settings, other apps may use, browser, various settings for the master itself. So that's fully customizable. You choose to put your facility background or your dealer background with contact information, that type of information. It's fully open, being an Android-based software within it. Dive into a little bit more. There's a setting in there for Wi-Fi and off, Bluetooth, Ethernet to input your IP address, make it static, your subnet and default gateway. So you can do that all through the master itself or the web browser. You can do it and look at some of the various accounts that you have initiated or not initiated within that device. All that can be done as well through the master itself or web browser. Dial out directly. So on the left, these are just IP addresses, but they could be fully named for various parts of the building, whether it's master stations or door stations. In this application, we have some IP addresses loaded in as default, or you can direct call. So that's direct call to other master substations, or again, it's a SIP-based intercom, so it could be tied with, various SIP phone systems. Should be calling, basic SIP telephones as well. You can do audio call, or you can do video as well with it, depending on what the requirements are. This is a web interface, as I mentioned, so this will allow you to do the programming as well. very similar to what you can do with a master. On this application, we're going to the phone book section where we can add our contacts, search for contacts if you're not sure, and then you have your name. You could have a multitude of different numbers depending on the way they may be, and so on. So that's available in the web interface as well by typing in the IP address for the master. Again, you're getting into all your network settings in the web interface, as you can see in the back screen. Again, your IP address, your subnet, your gateway, and so on for that particular master. And going over with information again on your phone and different extension keys and short keys and so on. You can set up on whether it's buttons on the phone itself, mechanical buttons, or icons and shortcuts via the touchscreen on the master itself. Other important actions you can easily modify using station or going through the web browser, as we just looked at, connecting the Wi-Fi, your volumes, ring tone control, audio and video settings, so audio control, resolutions, that type of thing, call settings and routing, personal settings, and there's a lot more that you can do within that master as well. So SIP intercom systems work on 2 different modes. Which mode depends on a variety of factors, such as the current phone system in use. Is there a SIP IP phone system presently in the facility? The access and communication features needed by the company. Existing network structure. So the few different things and more that depends on how you configure the SIP intercoms. The N-SP80 products communicate with each other by calling an IP address directly. So that one screen where we did see the master touch screen, and the left-hand side we didn't have the name, but we just had them open to show that it is an IP address you're calling, and then you're giving that IP address a name, whether it's reception, room 123, boardroom, loading bay, dock 123. You can name them, but they're all directly calling an IP address. So your master station, IP address dialing, address book, that type of thing. So N-SP80 can be installed on its own network without intruding on any high-level network security that is present. So you don't have to go on existing network. You can. That's pretty straightforward. Devices will only be talking to each other on the network, so they just talk directly to each other. So you can see in demonstrations, just directly back and forth. So you can build a system with stations only. No need for a SIP server. So although it is SIP, you can have peer-to-peer communication back and forth to each one of the stations. On a simple switch with PoE. So it can be standalone without a SIP server and not having to reside on existing network should the facility want that. Best use installations. Don't have a SIP server or don't require SIP server. Phones interface with the intercom network amongst themselves. So it's cost effective this way. SIP servers can be pricey and the infrastructure and so on. So it's definitely cost effective if you're using it in the peer-to-peer mode. We're going again a simple switch, PoE switch, and communication just directly from station to station and so on. And from that, you can still do your door release because in the masters you do have contact closures, which will show a little bit more detail on the substations further on. Another example of peer-to-peer communication via server switch. We have a master. We have direct connection to an audio substation, a video substation. We also have our SP80 SIP paging module to the right here, which will plug into any of our modular amplifiers in this application. A BG series amplifier to overhead speakers in, let's say, a warehousing part. So you get offices, maybe an entrance security, then you have a warehousing section. Again, you can configure this system to communicate to all of that on just a simple switch without having to get into a SIP server, just on peer-to-peer communication. Again, just to reiterate how simple it is, master, switching hub, stations. Straightforward. So we get into the more advanced system. We get into the SIP server mode. So this supports Cisco, via Asterisk, with the Genetech Securities Center, etc. Secondary server settings, same function as peer-to-peer, and collaboration with an N-SP80 series. So again, it is Cisco compatible. I've had with a lot of other different phone systems and tree platforms, so we can work and talk to those SIP servers and communicate via their system. So there's your application here with the N-SP80 product. We have SIP server, and in this example, we have a Cisco-based phone system. SIP servers permit communication between SIP phones and SIP devices to interact with the SP80, allows for flexible expandability, easy call transfers available, provides additional level of security. So it can be part of a scalable system. On this picture here, we're showing the on-VIF compatibility. So we've got video and recording and other video surveillance product, and we have our Intercom as a part of that. The video stream can be pulled into that security platform, as long as it's on-VIF compatible. So similar to the peer-to-peer, this is an exploded version of a simple solution. So we've got kind of a simple switch and hub, TOA, which is connecting, the various TOA SP80 products. Maybe a PC as well connect that, which is linked to a SIP server. We have the switch over here hub and our SIP paging module going into our amplifiers. Very simple exposure. We've got our master. In this example, we might have a Polycom phone system going into a switch. Our master is in a SIP server. Well, as the existing phone system is SIP compatible, then again, our security master could call a conventional telephone master, meaning extension that way. So don't have the requirement they have an existing SIP phone system, and they have requirements for maybe a school communication back and forth to classroom, or any other security with door entry security. They don't have to have a separate system and a separate masters. It can all be incorporated on the security side into the one security master that can still communicate with other standard telephones throughout that facility. Get into some application examples. TOA SIP system is very flexible to adapt to most projects across a multitude of applications. The SP80's compatibility to various SIP servers increase your opportunities in which the system can be added to a new or retrofit design. The device features easy unlocking operation for access control, which is ideal for schools, hospitals, correctional facilities, and factories. To install at a building entrance, car park gate, a gate opener. Or the SP80 is not limited to only these applications. So that's just a few of the the areas where it can be used. Paging in a school application, paging them from a SIP media station to administration room to the classroom to integrate with maybe an existing N-SP80 system as well as the PA system. Conversation and door open and release can be done from the SP80 SIP multimedia station and administration room to the entrance. So we've got the administration room with our multimedia station. We've got an entrance door at the front of the school potentially, or maybe it's a distribution hub with that at the delivery door. Then in this application with the school, we're going into our and we'll talk a little bit about it, to our SIP gateway. So we also have an N-8000SG, which is a SIP gateway between SIP product protocol for the N-SP80 and our N-8000 packet proprietary IP-based intercom. So it's basically a translator, so those two systems can be tied together. So on the right-hand side, we'll have maybe an older system or an older facility that doesn't have Cat5 going to classrooms, but it has maybe twisted pair, two conductor shields with a drain or four-wire station. So an older style of intercom, which we'll see in a lot of schools, but that can come back and via the SG can convert the SIP and allow the functionality of a SIP station to communicate to the non-SIP based intercom. So some nice functionality in interacting with retrofit or older installations. Or it might just be budgets that are not available to go fully SIP enabled throughout a certain facility. Quick look at commercial buildings. So standard security applications such as building entrance, parking, The SP80 multimedia station can communicate with the video door stations. The audio door stations, remote volume control function can be directly operated from the master. The door stations, the SP80 series is compatible with a variety of SIP servers, like we mentioned before, Genetec Security Solutions. Genetec Security Center can communicate and have doors open with the N-SP80 series. SIP multimedia station can also integrate with the N-8000, like we mentioned in the prior slide, with paging function, door remote control, and conversation functionality. So here's an example of our multimedia SP80 master, an SG communication to an older part of the facility, your existing infrastructure. We have the Genetec Security Center controlling our system, communicating with it, and we have a variety of different gate operators, maybe, or just entry level or entrance security substations. Trying to illustrate different areas that it can be used. This one here is a correctional facility. So we've got a couple of masters. We've got a master over here, a master here, masters all throughout different sections, cell blocks, different level of security within that correctional facility, all on a monitored and controlled network switch. Going to various doors for entry. Most likely be a video station, a correctional facility. Then we have maybe another building, separate building, or different wing with another network switch. It's all tied together. So lots of flexibility in those facilities for tying various masters and subs together, as well as giving door control to open and release. Another building very similar. In this application, you may have a lot of different, phones that you want in the, at each one of, administrative office in a medical building or a clinic and so on. You can be used as nurses stations potentially. You can contour how that routing calls does take place, and a variety of door masters in the certain sections or wings of the medical facility, in addition to just security into the parking lot of that said complex. So a lot of variances from administrative offices to nurse stations to doors to parking, all within the same system, tied into a SIP server-based platform. Do a quick look at some installation part. This would be the master itself. So we have the just standard back box here, or you could have the weatherized heated back box. Quick look at some of the controls on the back of the substation. So if you're outside of the POE type distances and so on, maybe you have to add local power. So that's one thing as an option there, or again, it can't get straight from the POE. One thing to note, if power is being used, don't plug it in, so don't double up the power. So if you are on a POE switch giving it power, don't double up the power. And up here, we've got a speaker in, line out, external speaker, that type of thing. Microphone connection. Key things you'll probably use here is contacts, normally open, normally close, relays for your door strikes and entry and that type of thing directly from the mast or from the substation. So that's a quick view of the back of the, whether it's the V or the audio substation. Very simple to install, 4 screws and sheet mounted. Talk a little bit about communication of the SP80, obtaining the IP address from the video or audio. Use static IP by default. Default address is 192.168.1.102. The IP address is unknown. Press the call button when the light turns blue. For a short period of time, about 5 seconds, the phone will announce its IP. So if you're not sure on the installation side, more of the, that's what we're dealing with right now, a little bit on the installation side. That's one way to get the IP if you're unsure. Also, log in the web, open a web browser, enter the corresponding IP address, then type the default username and password and log into it. That's all in the manual for the default username and password. Get in the system settings, and of course, that can be changed afterwards. Looking at the SP80 master station, so this is the rear of the unit right here. So your LAN connection, PC connection, power should be required if you're over POE distances, connects for a handset and a lock. On the side of the unit Over here, we're going to have a USB input for content. We have an HDMI output for a large screen, should you wish, and then we have a connection for a headset. Connecting to network use. Connecting to network, use the matched network cable. Connect the LAN port, pretty straightforward. The router. In the top right corner of the screen, the indicator light is on. Network cables can't be connected properly, so it'll tell you and give you a visual that it's connected and the router properly. Connect the PC, use the matched network cable, connect the PC port of the video phone. The PC can access the internet network via the PC port of the video phone, so it gives you network access from that phone as well. Getting into some new fun stuff with this unit is Softphone application. So we've recently developed a mobile app to enhance the user experience and functionality. It will be available on both iOS and Android in the first quarter of this year, which we're in. It'll be a free download. So as far as I know right now, I think it's just a matter of being released via the Google Play and the iPhone or Apple Store. So that's where it's at now. So a nice Softphone interface. Looking more to this, so this would be what it would look at in the front. Username and password, configure that. So it does allow, the application allows for voice over IP calls over 3G or 4G or Wi-Fi. Very good audio quality over your IP network. Paddle SIP or PBX, including Asterisk, Cisco, 3CX, Microsoft, and others. And works harmoniously with all SIP phones and SIP intercoms from TOA. Well, it shows more about this. Yeah, okay. So it features SIP registration on video calling. So really, it's a virtual master on your phone. So primarily, most of the functions you would do from a master, you can do from this iOS or Android app. So you can do audio calling, video calling, receive incoming calls as part of your call routing. It's a great application. It would be maybe a roving guard that at times, they're not always at their security desk and may do, spot checks, or maybe have to go answer one of many doors for whatever reason or take care of a situation. In essence, as long as they're part of the call routing, when they do step away from the desk, the call will eventually route to them, and then they can see who's at the door and choose a release or not release, or call different masters from their app as well. As I mentioned, audio video calling, remote door, real-time video monitoring. So you look at some stations, have a look. May give you another vantage angle, maybe the security camera looking at an area you heard a bang. Now you can go and access the video of the substation and have a look. So it gives you another level of security that way. Messaging, it does allow for log access. It does have built-in echo cancellation and a bunch of different codecs that you can choose from the unit itself. Be really impressed when you do see, when I played around with it in our head office not long ago, the video is exceptional. And the sound is very, very cool, very clear and quiet with regards to background noise and that type of thing. So audio quality and video quality is top notch, which is nice. You have a functionality for offline push notifications, so you don't miss a message or a call. Everyone will continue to receive notifications even if the app is not started. So it will, as you can see down here, all of a sudden, even if your app's not open, you'll get a little message pop saying you get a call from a door station, so on. So it's a little reminder in case you missed something or a call that was initiated. A little bit of a closer view of it. So here we have someone at a door delivering a package, talking back and forth. I can do a capture of the video right there, and I can do my unlock of that door to let them in. That's door phone. This is the back door. Exit and call. I can just take a look and view it potentially. So a lot of functionality created with this app. Very easy to use. Configuring is pretty straightforward. One glance to know where to find all features, instructions. It's a no-brainer. So you look at your dialers here. In this application, we're using iPads to call. You can simple dial in certain direct numbers. or you can go to your contacts down below that are loaded same as your master and call, any number of masters and or substations. Look at messaging. You can create icons for the doors and iPads and various other things that you may have connected. There's multiple Softphone applications on the system. You can create icons for that. And then configure within them whether it's functionality for unlock, what kind of device it is, and so on, and address setup pertaining to that. So very simple to initiate, set up, capture, use, and so on. Did mention earlier the N8000 SIP gateway. So we've been on the non-SIP side of Intercom, we've had our N8000 out for a multitude of years. And that's an IP-based intercom, but it's a proprietary packet technology, so it's not a SIP protocol. So the N-SP80 allows you to interface with that N8000 intercom to a SIP phone system or SIP system in general. Communication can be established from the N8000 to a SIP phone system or vice versa. Or when I say phone system, it could be from the N8000 to the N-SP80, the SIP-based intercom. So maybe you have a facility that has older infrastructure and they're expanding onto a new wing, very typical in a hospital or something in a healthcare facility, maybe a school. And you want to put in newer technology in the new wing, you can put SIP intercom, SP80 intercoms and masters and subs for the new facility, but allow the SIP gateway to be there to allow that bridge between the existing older intercom and the new SIP-based intercom. It'll allow you to do call transfers from the N8000 to SIP, vice versa. Paging functionality from the SIP to the N8000 areas. Remote control, door lock and so on to the various N8000 door masters. It allows for 5 continuous communication channels throughout that gateway at the same time. In combination with the SIP server, the TOA's N8000 series, voice alarm systems, and speakers, the SIP multimedia station can be used for public announcements and access control through that SIP gateway in the N8000. So that's a nice function for tying in various technologies that may be present. Here's a visual looking at it. So we've got maybe it's a SIP server. Attached to that may be a bunch of various SIP-based phones in the facility. We have our SIP multimedia master, multitude of substations. And this is the new wing per se, a new area. And then we're on the right, we've got the existing area, which may be N8000. So we have our SIP gateway that's run on a PC on that network. And that'll be the communication to the N8000, which could be a combination of IP masters, door stations, twisted pair masters, and door stations or two conductors and so on. So various types of infrastructure comes back to a network connection, which can go back and be converted to SIP. So it allows for a lot of scalability and functionality back and forth, SIP to N8000, N8000 back to SIP. I think that concludes a quick overview on the TOA and its SP80 and the various functions and features and SKUs associated with it, as well as its potential to expand into older facilities and retrofits and that type of thing. So I guess we'll open up if anybody has any questions, and I'll see if I got some answers. I think everybody should be able to unmute themselves if they do have any questions.
Hey, Peter, one quick question with regard to the SIP application. In this case, like a security guard who would normally be at their master station but leaves to go on around, do they then take any calls that are routed to that master station and forward them to their SIP phone?
I believe there is a forward function, or it's just part of call routing. So they could have that master set up that after so many rings, it will automatically, call forward to that to the application.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep, it'll do that.